What's going on, everyone? So the Philadelphia 76ers got some huge news today as Paul George is going to play. He is expected to play against the Phoenix Suns, and they need him desperately. They are currently 1-4 on the season. You can understand it because they're missing their two best players, so it's kind of like if any team was missing their two best players, they're probably not going to be a very good basketball team, right? I've talked a lot about the Milwaukee Bucks recently, kind of their dumpster fire, but at least they have their two stars. At least their two guys are playing where, at least Philly can argue and justify like, hey, we're missing our two best guys on the basketball court. But this is the concern with Philly, right? This is the concern with Paul George and Joel Embiid. Now, Joel Embiid's got like a whole thing going on right now. He's got a bunch of commotion going on. I don't want to get into it too much because I want to kind of keep this basketball focus, but he was already investigated for just missing games. Right? Now, he was cleared, but Philadelphia was still fined. I think it was $200,000, top of my head, for basically not disclosing certain things with his injuries that he's had. Joel Embiid has came out and kind of defended it like, hey, look, I'm not just like taking games off just for the fun of it. He's not a guy that you can count on for 70 games a season. He's not a guy that has the best injury history. And now, after the incident with a media member, he's going through another investigation. It's just a lot of commotion going on, specifically with Joel Embiid, but obviously the Sixers, period. And then Paul George, he was supposed to be the big acquisition. He was the guy that was supposed to finally put you over the top, right? You've been a team that second round exit every year, right, with a healthy Joel Embiid, and you haven't been able to get over the hump. You go get a guy in Paul George, which, in my opinion, is like the idea, at least, right, is the perfect fit. That 3-and-D guy, go get you 30, but also defend the best player on the other team on a nightly basis. Issue with Paul George is, one, his injury history. He's not a guy that's been incredibly reliable, right? Gets to Philly and immediately gets hurt, right? He's missed the first 5 games. Now, again, can he come back and can he give you, 70 games like he did with the Clippers last season? If you can, then great. But if it kind of feels like with Paul George, you're kind of waiting for that next extended stint where he misses time, right? Same thing with Joel Embiid. And if you can't reliably count on your stars, not going anywhere. Right? I don't care how good you are on paper. If the guys never show up, then who cares? Right? The best ability is availability. On paper, Philly is stacked. But this is what I talked about in the offseason. This is why I was so adamant about like, hey, I want to wait and see what goes on with Philly before I'm willing to just sign them off as a top contender in the Eastern Conference. Right? I think you kind of look at things that are going on. I think you got Boston, you got the Knicks. The Cavs have been just absolute money, right? Cavs not lost a game at the time of recording this video. So, like, Cleveland is out here just, getting stuff done. But I'm kind of iffy on them against, like, Boston, against, like, a Knicks team. Obviously, Knicks are still kind of working some stuff out, but I do think that they'll get there. I think that they'll be fine. You never really count out Miami, but Philly is that team that I thought, like, okay, they could be in that conversation, that top, 3 teams in the Eastern Conference that could be contending for a championship this year, or they could be in that next tier, right? Or they could even be a play-in team. I mean, again, if Joel Embiid and Paul George can't give you the games necessary for you to at least stay afloat, and last thing you want to be is even like a 6 seed, right? In theory, in concept, you kind of look at the Sixers and it's like, okay, if Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, if those 3 guys are healthy come playoffs, you take your chances against anybody, right? But you don't want to be behind the 8 ball, particularly going into the playoffs, especially with Joel Embiid is a guy that is known to just completely disappear at times in the playoffs. And then you add in Paul George, who at times can completely disappear in the playoffs. Saw that with James Harden, right? We saw that with James Harden and Joel Embiid, right? They just decided to take games and nights off, right? And Joel Embiid has not had a good injury history even in the playoffs. Neither has Paul George, right? So it's just like you have 2 stars who, if healthy, should be unbelievable, right? Like a healthy Paul George and a healthy Joel Embiid should be enough to make you a bona fide title contender. You add in a Tyrese Maxey, you add in an Oubre and a Drummond and all these guys, right? Like, you add in the depth and the talent overall that this team has to Paul George, Joel Embiid, and then that like rising star in Tyrese Maxey. Like, this should be a no-brainer, right? This should be a team that is at the top of the standings, particularly in the Eastern Conference. This is a team that should be playing for NBA championships going forward, right? You can't rely on the guys. Now, if Paul George, because the thing is, like, who knows at this point when Joel Embiid's going to be back? I mean, he could miss another month. He could miss several months. He could be back in a couple weeks. Who knows, right? If Paul George can come back and stay healthy, then I think the Sixers will be fine. They'll start winning games. Right, between Paul George and Tyrese Maxey and then the rest of that core group, they'll rattle off some wins here. I don't think it'll be as bad as it's been recently. I just think, Tyrese Maxey's trying to like be the guy, and he's not there yet, right? And then he has like a bunch of role guys. Like, you kind of expect him to be in the spot that they're in. But you add in a Paul George, who has been a guy before, but also can just elevate the team overall and be a guy that will get you 30 a night and defend the best player on the other team and do all those things. I just think now you should be good enough to at least stay afloat. Right? I'm not saying that they're going to move into a top 4 seed or anything like that. I mean, you never know. Right? Paul George kind of turns it back a little bit and if he can kind of deliver, but that's putting so much pressure on him to stay healthy. Right? Like, the idea isn't Paul George have to play 40 games essentially by himself and having to carry the offensive and defensive workload. That the idea is that him and Joel Embiid with Maxey, now the three of them kind of helping each other. Yeah, you're going to have nights where Joel Embiid gets the night off. You're going to have nights where Paul George gets the night off. You're going to have nights where Tyrese Maxey gets the night off. It's just kind of the NBA we're in today. But more often than not, for a large majority of the season, you should be at least having those three guys. Joel Embiid is supposed to be your guy. That's your superstar. That's your franchise guy. That's the process. That's this, that, and the other. And you can't count on him. He's unreliable. And now you're putting Paul George in a position where he has to be great, which we've seen him be able to do, but we've also seen him do that and try to carry a team like the Clippers and end up getting hurt because Kawhi Leonard. I mean, this kind of feels like a Clipper situation, right? Where it's like, man, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, two of them with their depth, their coaching, their talent, this, that, and the other, right? Like, it's kind of what I feel like with the Sixers right now. I feel like the Sixers are the new Clippers. You got your franchise guy, your best player who can't stay healthy and is unreliable. Then you have Paul George in both scenarios, right? And then in this case, you have a Tyrese Maxey, but they had guys like Norman Powell and then James Harden, and then, so they've had guys kind of come through there to where it's like, okay, like they should be better. And we saw with the Clippers, they go into one conference finals. That's it, one conference finals. Beyond that, first round exit, second round exit, or missing the playoffs entirely because their two stars cannot stay healthy on the basketball court. Here's the Sixers, right? Two stars cannot stay healthy on the basketball court. A team that is every year a first or second round exit. The Clippers, every year, first, second round exit, right? You have your main star, can't count on, is not healthy during the regular season, didn't play enough games, can't stay healthy come playoff time. Clippers. Kawhi Leonard can't stay healthy come playoff time, can't stay healthy during the season and play enough games. And then you got Paul George in both scenarios. It's just, I feel like this is just the new iteration of the Clippers. However, where the Sixers, Sixers to me was one of those things where the Clippers to me were one of those things where it was like, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, it just didn't like that team overall. Where I look at the Sixers and it's like, if they can just get healthy and right, I do think that they can win a championship, mainly because they're in the East, right? Which is a benefit, right? There's really only once you get to the playoffs, there's really only going to be 2, maybe 3 teams that you have to really get through, and you're not going to play all of them. You're only going to play 1 or 2 of them, right? So I don't see where I just think the Sixers have a good spot if they can kind of get into that top 4. Obviously, there's still a lot of basketball left to be played, a lot of room for just them to kind of figure some stuff out. Hopefully, Paul George comes back, gets right, gets healthy, stays healthy. Hopefully, they didn't rush him back, right? Because, I mean, this is kind of the timeline in which they originally said, so I don't think so. But last thing you want to do is rush him back, especially with his injury history. I know you're 1-4, and it's kind of like the panic starts to set in, and it's like, oh no, like if we don't get him back, Joel Embiid, he's not going to play for who knows how long, and does he get suspended? And it's just, so all these issues, all these questions, all these concerns. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But it's getting to the point where I just feel like with the Sixers, like I did with the Clippers, I got to see it. I just can't buy him. I said it in the offseason. And people are like, oh no, Sixers are going to be best. I need to see it. I need the proof. We've seen this story before. I've watched this movie, and we've seen how it usually goes. Is this finally the time that is different? Maybe, possibly, but anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Think, yeah, Paul George, he just doesn't have it. He's not going to be able to stay healthy enough. He's not going to be healthy long enough. I think the Sixers are just cooked. They're just washed, done. What do you think happens with Joel Embiid? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.